I think Formula E is a progressive sport, a progressive industry. I welcome its environmental claims. Not that we saw very many of them in action when they hosted the event here, with the destruction of so many bushes, trees, and the huge numbers of massive lorries that were rolling in and out of the park. But in principle, I have nothing against Formula E. It just clearly shouldn't be held in a park, and certainly not this one.
I would say Formula E is great fun. Nobody's denying that. It's also an extremely interesting concept, but it isn't right to hold it in a Victorian park, and it isn't right to damage that park, and it isn't right to take the park away from the local population.
Cars are no strangers to Battersea Park. I remember seeing James Bond's Aston Martin driven by Sean Connery at an Easter parade, driving alongside the original Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. But that was for the public. Anybody could come. But the idea of actually sectioning off the park, it's commercialising what is one of the greatest public assets in London, which is our parks, and that has to be wrong.
I think it's an appalling idea. Battersea Park is for families and children and dogs to play in and be happy and safe in. Don't want motor cars whistling around, ought to be banned from the park. There are plenty of other places they can take their motor cars. And there are plenty of places already with racing cars. We don't need any more. We need more green spaces for human beings.
And you're a big car enthusiast as well, aren't you?
I am a great car enthusiast in the right places, not in the wrong places. And Battersea Park is quite the wrong place.
Remember that the park is a Grade 2 star listed building, which means it has significant importance as a green open space. And one can only see on an average weekend in the summer how many people get the benefit of it. The council were approached by Formula E in 2013 and at first rejected the idea of having a race in the park. However, a reapproach a few months later and the offer of more money and some pressure from City Hall then led to a tacit approval. The council put out a few flyers and wrote, they said, 1,800 letters to local residents, but no one actually received these letters. I've actually been sent a copy by the council, but no one who lives in the local area actually received the letters as far as we can tell. And the consultation was really a meeting that was poorly advertised, and then a planning application made, and by that time clearly a decision had already been taken.
Well, there had been protests before, letters to the council and so on, but given the skimpiness of the so-called consultation, there was not as much as there should have been. We had a meeting, and from that meeting grew a vast core group to fight this thing with Formula E in Battersea Park. When people saw what was actually happening to the park, because many of them said they'd been misled as to the disruption, they came on board the group.
I went in the gate opposite the new flats in Albert Bridge Road, and there was a tractor and it was going all over the grass, etc., and it went right across the tree roots and broke all the bark and the roots of the tree, and we did complain to the parks office.
And what did they say?
They just said they put in an email to the tree chap who's in charge of the tree.
So nothing, in effect. So I take it.
And I think it was the contractors, but the contractors kept passing it on to the park, so we couldn't get anywhere. And there's no parks police now, so we couldn't complain to them.
How long have you lived around here and enjoyed Battersea Park?
73 years.
And how do you feel about all this? Say what's going on.
I'm not happy about this, really. I really am not. They actually took the park over. I certainly won't be up there watching cars going round in a circle, I can tell you.
Alejandro Agag, who is the CEO of Formula E, has not exactly got green credentials. In fact, in his past, it's been more motor racing, so he has no credible green credentials whatsoever.
It's not a real green event. It has a massive carbon footprint with 800 lorry loads of concrete blocks, with the helicopters, with the noise, environmental pollution, damage to the flora and fauna. It is not a green event. And Alejandro Agag saying, you know, the cars have zero emissions, well, that's true, but that doesn't make the event green.
The psychological impact of coming out of your house within 2 minutes I can be in the park and just being confronted by a wall of concrete. It was devastating, it was horrible. You come to this park for peace and relaxation and to get away from the troubles of the world. It was really, really unpleasant. They told us the setting up was going to take place on a Monday. On the Saturday morning at 7 o'clock, they were already piling in the lorries to bring, that was 2 days in advance of when they said it was going to be.
From the start, for 3 weeks, we couldn't come along here and we had to go out on the road. As a park user, I feel that it's very important for people with mental health issues, people I see in my work, come to a place like this for calm, and unfortunately it hasn't been possible for them to be here with all the disruption.
It's pretty ironic that just downstream they're going to put a garden bridge across the Thames at a cost of over £100 million, and yet here we have a council that is planning to destroy a garden on our doorstep, and I find that outrageous and quite extraordinary. It's so obviously wrong. This park makes a great deal of money for the council already. We have the British Genius site with its marquee with hundreds of events a year. That makes a fortune. We also have thousands of flats, new builds in the area, precisely because this is a park. And categorically not because it is a racetrack. And if you continue to turn this park into something that's nothing more than a cross between Checkpoint Charlie and a building site, which happened during Formula E, not only do you lose the magic, but you also lose a lot of money in council tax from all the new build flats that have been put up here. As a writer, I walk around this park every day, twice a day. It's a place where I get a lot of inspiration, it's where I can clear my head, and as a blind person, it's a place where I can get fresh air and exercise, and I don't really have the option of pounding the streets. So you can imagine needing a set route. I was a bit put out, to say the least, by Formula E and having all these walls and trucks in my path.
Well, I live here for over 40 years. I bring children and grandchildren now, so 4 generations, and it's a heaven. This is beautiful. And what I would like to tell the politicians, whoever is in charge of the beautiful park, is thank you for the park, but also come in a day like today with a book, fresh mind, sit down in a bench and enjoy the beauty of every inch of this park. If you want quiet, you can get the quiet. If you want noisy, you can go close to the playground and see those kids jumping around, which is beautiful. I love the sound of happy children. Why you take that from us? It's ours. Belongs to thousands and hundreds of people.
Every morning I come down here and I walk about, and for some 1 hour, 1.5 hours, and the fresh air, breeze, everything, it makes me feel really good. I don't think they should interfere with this park at all.
Before going to work, I take this boy walking around and feeding the ducks, which we shouldn't, and then the evening we do the same. So now he's dying to go and run around. Yeah, I don't think the park should be closed for 3 weeks. I understand 1 day maybe, but no more than that.
They have a message to get across, but they're also looking for the TV images that will sell their business, and they're just using the park to do that, and we think it's very wrong. They need a central London location, but why not use a circuit somewhere else?
We're standing by the Peace Pagoda, which is a site of worldwide religious significance and importance to Buddhists. It was used for photo opportunities for Formula E, which to Buddhists and to anybody really who is even vaguely religious is just completely sacrilegious. It would be like riding motorbikes up the steps of St. Paul's Cathedral.
In our park, it doesn't belong to Wandsworth Council, in our park there are indeed over 600 events every year. It is a good source of income to the council, there's no doubt about that, and there's no problem with that. But this event is completely out of order.
Oh, yeah.
I've spent my whole life watching the council slowly chipping away at all the things that I used to enjoy in the park, from closing down the nursery to ripping down our amazing adventure playground we used to have here. And now it seems that even the delights that adults get out of the park is under attack as well. Closing the park and removing it from the community's access for a whopping 3 weeks of the year to host an event that's totally inappropriate for the park and could be hosted in a myriad of other venues in London so much more effectively.
It just seems to me that we're in danger of commercialising all our public spaces. Where children used to play here, they're now erecting a site where kids will have to pay, I understand, quite a lot of money to do the same sort of things that they used to do for nothing. And now I understand the Formula E activity is going to section off a whole part of the park and charge people to come and watch cars race around. Is that really what we want to be doing with our public parks?
We owe it, as every Londoner owes it to the future generations, to keep their parks alive. And as parks, this is plainly a park. It is not a car park, it is not a racetrack, it is not just an events location. And it is more than just the sum of its parts, more than just packages of revenue streams for Wandsworth Council.
If the ridiculous decision was made to hold the race again next year, we would protest en masse during the setup for 3 weeks, during the race, and during the 4 or 5 days it takes to de-rig. We would protest in the strongest way possible. And what our message would be is that this race is a totally fake green event.
I adore that park, it's my favourite park. I am completely furious about Wandsworth allowing Formula E to go ahead. They've done it for 1 year. Apparently it's slated to happen for the next couple of years. It must be stopped. One goes to the park to walk. You don't go to a park to join cars. It is totally inappropriate. It's got to be stopped.
One thing that the council has to be aware of, that if they pursue this course, not only do they lose something very precious, but they will provoke a groundswell revolt, a grassroots revolt, that would lead to picketing of the gates, a sit-in of the racetrack.
And I'll tell you what, if that protest still doesn't work next year, when it comes to the next council elections, which are, will come round again quite soon, we will stand and we will use social media, we will use our website, and we will use, I've got 35 years in marketing I'll use, and we'll make sure that some of these small majorities are turned round, and the people who made this happen are going to find themselves not in office. We are really serious. We're going to see this through. You don't damage our park like this and get away with it.
We're not going away. We've got a lot of local support, and we're just going to make this a very difficult process, both for Wandsworth Council, for Formula E, and also for their sponsors, who really will not be welcoming of the very bad PR that this event will bring, because Formula E are not supporting a green and pleasant environment. What they're doing is destroying it, and we feel very strongly that that shouldn't be happening, and we're going to do everything in our power to have it stopped.
Fantastic, thank you so much.
All right.
That's great, that's great.
I'm going to get off.